As a former member of the Village People, Miles Jaye became a popular male vocalist in urban circles during the late 80s. Jaye studied violin in New York and also learned keyboards and bass in the Air Force. That's another thing Miles and I have in common. We both served in the Air Force. And I had the opportunity, I know it's his bio, but I did have the opportunity to play for the Air Force Choir where I was stationed. He played with guitarist Eric Gale. I've met Eric, and also worked with Phyllis Hyman prior to his 2-year stint with the Village People. Teddy Pendergrass signed him to his production company after hearing a demo tape. Island released the LP Miles in 1987, and the song, you heard me play it early, Let's Start Love Over, was a sizable hit. Jaye also wrote Good to You and I'm Ready for Pendergrass's Joy LP. All right now. His next release was Irresistible, had 2 more successful singles in Objective and Heaven, while in the third strong included Sensuous. And this is the short version of Miles's bio, because there's a whole lot more. Miles, are you close to a radio or the device? Because I'm getting some feedback there. There we go. There's a long version, I am quite sure, but I really like this version based on the artists that Miles has had an opportunity to work with. So we're going to jump into, first off, we're going to go all the way back to just the history of Miles's name. Because those of you, if you listen to the show, you know that every now and again we'll do something on jazz. As a matter of fact, I played something earlier. The young lady with the last name of Coltrane, her first name was Alice. And if you're a jazz enthusiast, you've got to know the last name Coltrane. If you listen to Barry's show, The Naked Brunch After Mine, I know you hear jazz on there. But this young man, Miles Jaye, we're going to take it all the way back to who he is named after. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reading Circle microphones, Miles Jaye. Miles, good morning. I'm still getting some feedback from something.
You getting feedback? Okay, all righty. How's this?
That sounds great now.
All right, rock and roll then. Okay.
So we good. So welcome to the Reading Circle.
Well, thank you so much. Brave New Radio. Thank you, Mark, for even thinking of me, man, on your early Saturday morning. I've had time to get up and feed the bird and feed the fish and walk the puppy and give the cat a cup of milk. And the fool for you, I didn't realize I've been a fool for you for so long. And I actually took a nap.
See, you ain't right. You ain't right.
I actually took a nap during I've been a fool. It's like, you know what's funny? They will tell you in the business, well, they would it back in the day, that your single should be 4 minutes long. Well, Fool for You was closer to 6 minutes, as you probably know. And that was a little bit unusual, but they gave it a pass because it was a ballad. So they let it run.
I know that's right. Well, it sounded good. So I mean, something that sounds good, yeah, you can let run. Yeah, I mean, if it's something that's annoying, you'd be like, when is this song going to be over?
Wait a minute, it's too long. But before we get going, again, I want to repeat, thank you. And this is first of all, an honor. But I'm learning some new things about what you've been doing, and the fact that you've been doing it since 2001.
That's correct.
You know, you said something really funny. Had somebody said to you back in 2001 that you'd still be doing this in 2021, you'd probably kind of chuckled and smirked.
Correct.
Right. Right.
That's correct. No, it really is. And
isn't it amazing how quickly the time passes?
Well, it's amazing how quickly the time passes, and amazing how you just never know where an opportunity is going to go.
Okay, so let's go back before 2001 and go back to your Air Force days. And then someone said, hey, you're going to be, or if you had said to some of your Air Force buddies, I'm going to be a veteran radio guy. You know what I mean?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to be a veteran journalist. I'm going to be doing weather at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? For 20 years. They would have looked at you like, God, come on, man, stop playing.
I would have looked at me and said, come on, man, stop playing. And the thing is, the listening audience has heard this, how I got started, and is to ad nauseum. I've repeated the story over, but it was truly a fluke. Now, clearly, those of us who believe in God, we know, okay, that's what God meant for us to do. Right. But it truly was. And again, listening audience, I apologize, but I will share it with Miles very quickly because I really want to hear more about Miles than me. But I was actually campaign manager for a friend of mine who was running for school board. And this station was one of our stops as we were on the campaign trail. I was out in the lobby waiting for him. He was in the booth where I am now being interviewed. And I was out in the lobby waiting for him as his campaign manager. And there was a sign hanging up on the bulletin board that said, "Do you want a radio show?"
Oh, get out of
So
here.
I kid you not. So Miles, I had no idea. I thought I was the only one in the lobby because it was like early on a Sunday morning. It was like a 4 or 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning interview.
God.
So I thought I was the only one in there. And I'm out there speaking out loud saying, "Yeah, I want a radio show. Yeah, I want a I'm literally talking to the sign. Yeah, I want a radio show."
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks later, I'm at my daughter's school and this young man comes up to me and says, "Why didn't you call me?" And I said, "What do you mean, why didn't I call? I don't even know you." And he says, "You were at the studio a couple weeks ago. I heard you saying you wanted a radio show. I had been looking for somebody to do a show on books. And you're a teacher. I thought you'd be great for it." And Miles,
are you kidding me?
I kid you not. I'm looking at him like mouth dropped open, like I thought he was pranking me. Like you're kidding, right? He says, "No, I put together a show for you." And the show at that time, originally it was called Power Readers.
Okay.
And it was on Friday nights and Saturday nights from midnight to 1 a.m. And new station manager came in and he moved me to Friday mornings from 6 to 7:30 a.m. And then the station manager behind him came in and moved me to Saturday mornings. And I've been here ever since. But that's how it got started. That's why I say, had somebody said, first off, the fact that I got it was I was looking like cross-eyed. And then if somebody had told me you'd still be doing it 20 years later, I really would have looked at them. But that's how it all started.
Interestingly, now, is the person that identified your little monologue, your little Shakespearean Hamlet monologue, you know what I mean? Are they still there?
He's not still at the studio. I'm not even sure if his name was Art Bean. I'm not even sure if Art is even still alive. He may be. But no, we've changed station managers. I'm at my third station manager since I've been here.
Irony. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The person that gave you keys to the building is no longer there.
Right. No. They've changed over station manager a few times over the 20-year period of time.
Unbelievable. But you're there. Man, I think it's wonderful. I listened to you call out not some of the cities, but some of the countries that you reach. Isn't it a new era, a new day?
Well,
it's amazing.
Yes, it is. Because, see, again, when I start 20 years ago, and for the first few years, we only could be heard in the New York, New Jersey area. But one of the station managers took us to the next level with web streaming. And
Mark, let me tell you what that means to me. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Here's what it means to me as I listen to you give some of your background, and I appreciate you sharing some of my bio. But to me, for the listener to appreciate the nature of the conversation, okay, the essence of the conversation, it's really important that they also include the two parties that are speaking, why we even address certain things. So let me tell you what it means to me that somewhere in Azerbaijan or in Munich or in somewhere down in Lima, somewhere, God only knows, okay, where
Correct.
Someone may be listening to. In an era where we are represented by somewhat questionable imagery, they're listening to two black men in America, literate, intelligent.
Correct.
Okay, you hear what I'm saying? Having a sane and not profane discussion first thing Saturday morning.
Absolutely.
That's refreshing to me. Okay, you as an educator, okay, and me as a communicator, obviously both of being interchangeable.
Correct.
Okay, it means something to us to be able to share with the world that, yes, there are some human beings that look like us, all right, that are not ne'er-do-wells, that
Correct.
are not miscreants, that are not we're just rolling over from a bender from last night, hanging out, partying, whatever. We don't know where we are. We don't know who that is lying next to us and so on and so forth because we've been partying so hard. That's been glamorized.
No, that's correct. And I'm so glad you went down that road. And listening audience, and as I shared with you last night, Miles, in terms when we talk, this is a part of my Black history theme. Now, I've been saying it earlier in terms of and I know Miles is going to agree with this. This I already know. But Black History for us is 365 days a year, not just February.
Thank you, Mark. There you go. This is what I'm talking about. Right. Black History Month.
Right.
First of all, don't try to separate my history, okay?
Thank you.
From America's history.
Correct.
Okay. We don't have to. It's not a niche history.
Right.
Okay. It's a part of world culture, civilization, society, history at large, okay? The fact that, these are the little things that people can miss sometimes.
Correct.
Little nuances. If you were not intelligent, literate, forward-thinking, someone who was well-read, someone who was prepared for this. See, the funny thing is we talk about how it was just a fluke. No, wait a minute. You were prepared for this job before you saw that sign.
Correct. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. Correct.
20 years is proof of it.
The fact that we're still here is absolutely correct. In all honesty, when the pandemic hit, that was the longest time we were off the air. I was off the air from March to September. That was the longest time in the 20-year period I had been off the air. And quite honestly,
you didn't have a station manager come in and say, "Who is this guy?" No,
right.
We got to replace him.
That's where I was going in terms of I was fearful that they weren't going to call us back. But the station manager called, said, "Okay, we're back open September. You're back on," and I was so grateful.
I mean, during that 20-year run, you
yes,
said you had three different.
I've had three different station managers.
Any one of them could have pulled you.
That's correct.
They saw value. They said, "Nah, he's good."
That's correct. And the thing is, Miles, I have met over the 20-year period of time some wonderful people on all levels,
I'm sure.
International level, in terms of profiles, high profile like yourself, no profile folks that are right here in my area that nobody would know they existed except for that radio interview with me. Right. So, I've met Thelma from Good Times, Bernadette Stannis. I've met Thelma from Good Times. Sure. I've met I've met Judge Hatchett. I mean, I've had ambassadors on that was ambassadors for President Clinton. I've had athletes on. I've had musicians on. I told you last week we had Gary Hines on with Sounds of Blackness. We kicked it with him for a little while. I have had a wonderful run with it in terms of connections and networking and staying in touch with people. I mean, it has been great. I mean, I've even had Newt Gingrich's daughter on the show. Gingrich's daughter, she's been on.
Okay, I still hear your enthusiasm. I still hear your passion. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, man. When the alarm went off at 6:30, I said, "Oh no, this is not whose idea was this." I agreed to this. Oh my God! First of all, Mark, let me tell you, I can't even give you an accurate number of how many interviews I've turned down in the last couple of years. First of all, because an interview is a tool.
Correct.
An interview is a marketing tool, a promotional tool.
That's correct.
If you're not selling something, all right, Denzel's not going to be on a late night talk show if he doesn't have a new movie coming out.
Correct.
It's a part of the agreement. Okay? Monique's issue with the film company was that she would not go over to France, okay, and promote a new movie. Well, her counter was that was not a part of my deal with Lee Daniels. When Lee turned the thing over to someone else, and they were, "Why won't she come?" This wasn't a part. So it's used. It's a tool. It's a marketing tool. It's even a negotiating point.
That's correct.
Okay, but in a situation like this, I'm going to tag a word that you used, ambassador. Okay,
correct.
You told me that someone now. I grew up at a time where I saw people like Dizzy Gillespie and Miles Davis and Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald and Thelonious Monk as ambassadors. Anytime you take what you do, whether it's live or you import it through music or recorded a product, overseas, someplace where people don't see you in your own element, you become an ambassador for that thing and for the group that you represent. So on the phone this morning, as people hear us once again, because this is really, really big to me, We're ambassadors. Okay.
No, you're
We
absolutely
represent
right.
something.
And Miles,
Okay?
on so many levels, ambassadors like you. One of the ways was what you just said: too intelligent, and it's not a matter of bragging, but the fact of the matter is we are
it's not
intelligent.
bragging.
Two
No.
intelligent African American males having an intelligent conversation. All right, so there's an ambassador there. But there's something else you just said that's going to be a perfect segue into even how you're named in terms of the musicians that you were talking about. My second guest in February was the chair of the African Studies Department at Temple University,
Wow.
Dr.
I love it.
Malefe Kete Asante. He was my guest the second Saturday. All right.
Kete Asante.
Kete Asante. Last week was Gary Hines. But with Dr. Asante, he has like books out, 80, 90 some books. But in one of the books that I read with his, and this is Black History Month, he gets in, because his book is called Afrocentricity. Mm-hmm. And in Afrocentricity, he breaks down even the language that we use. Like you were just saying about ambassador, he was saying how when folks refer to classical music, they always think in terms of Bach and Beethoven.
Sure.
And
Mozart.
he said, but the truth of the matter is that's not our classical music.
Thank you.
Our classical music are those folks you just named. That music is just as classical as Bach, Beethoven, and so forth and so
news
on.
for you, just as complex.
Exactly. And that was Dr. Asante's point. So let's not get caught out here with the only classical music is European music. That our music is classical too. Duke Ellington, Dizzy Gillespie. You heard me mention the last name Coltrane with Alice Coltrane, and I'm sure she's related to John Coltrane some kind of way. But
Alice was John's wife.
correct. So there you go. All right. So that's what I'm saying. That's our classical music.
A harpist. Alice played piano, but she was a harpist.
Correct.
Once again, they don't see harp.
Right.
Okay, when they see us.
Right.
Because the same reason they don't see violin.
Correct.
When they see us. So they look at me and like, dude, what position did you play?
That's exactly right.
I played first violin. That's what position
Correct.
I played. No. You play ball, right? No, I played the violin. You're not getting it.
Right.
Because the concept to them is so abstract. Not only that, if you look at all of the major orchestras, Philadelphia Orchestra, New York Philharmonic, Boston, so on, Chicago, you don't see us.
That's correct.
So what's the assumption that I can make? Can I draw a direct line from the absence of us in those orchestras to perhaps we're not talented? That's an interesting notion.
Right. That's right. I know. I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm loving this conversation.
We don't have the intellect to play an instrument like a violin or an oboe, so I guess we can't be quarterbacks either because that requires some type of cerebral minimum requirement, which we don't possess.
Correct.
Huh?
Correct. No, correct. I'm loving this conversation because it's not, again, this is a part of the Black History thing. And folks, if you're listening to what Miles is saying, you're getting an education. All month long, we've been getting an education. And as you heard us say, for us, this is not like just in the month of February. This is our way of life. We know what our folks have contributed. There's a bunch of folks out there that try to depress and suppress what our folks have contributed. That's the only reason you need. That's the only reason you need. Like you said, I love the way you said that in terms of we're not a niche.
Exactly. That's right. This is not to address a particular market share because education should be a product that is consumed by all, okay, in order for us to communicate effectively. So if you go back to the truth let's go back to something that we can all relate to on one level or another. Even if you're an atheist, you're aware of a thing called a Holy Bible.
Correct.
Okay. And in it, you're aware of certain characters like Abraham and Moses and Noah and a guy named David who was a musician.
Correct.
Okay. And you talk about David playing the harp. Well, see, now, if you start with the assumption that David was some little white guy, okay, then I can't have this discussion
Correct.
with you. But if you go further, then I can help you, and I may help you understand that, first of all, it was not a harp. It was an instrument called a lyre. Okay,
Correct.
Lyre. All right. And if you see a picture of it, you realize it was not a harp that you see in a symphony orchestra. All right. And David thought in terms of, see, the whole music thing, I'm working on a piece called So You Think You Know Music. Music metaphysically does something to your spirit. So
that's correct.
If it doesn't, if it's music that is like, you know, the lyrics are profane and the concepts are profane, so on and so forth, then it falls into a category that is detrimental to us metaphysically, okay? Our souls and our spirits are affected by it in a negative way.
Absolutely.
If it is uplifting, okay, if it is intellectually challenging, it has the opposite effect.
Correct.
So if you got your kids listening to, I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to make enemies.
I know that.
On their way to school.
But I tell you what, message received.
Yeah.
Message received. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Anymore. I mean, because right now they're not in school. But if if they're starting their day with that, it's like starting their day with barbecue instead of cereal.
Correct.
And I'm jumping around. But if you start their day with something that is once again uplifting, or even soothing, and that's the scientific studies will show brainwaves affected, okay, by certain frequencies.
Correct.
This is not just like arbitrary. I'm not just riffing here, okay? So the thing is, I was goofing around with just our moods. See, they say our minds can move a mountain, okay? Right? The faith of a mustard seed.
Correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Faith, our minds, that's where it is. But our moods can change a man. Okay?
That's right.
I'll give you an example. Show up at the counter the next time with a scowl on your face and see
Correct.
how the person behind the register treats you. Show up with a smile. Say, hey, how's it going? Are you having a good day? It changes the moment. Our mood can change a moment.
Correct.
Music changes our mood.
Correct.
So if all the music that you're listening to is angry and profane, come on, man. You don't have to give the speech at God if a cop stops you and this, that, and the other, and you're driving.
Right.
Okay, we know about all
Right.
that. But I'm trying to empower you. Your mood changes your environment.
Correct.
It does. They say that your heart is an electromagnetic field. Your heart.
Correct.
That extends up to 8 feet outside of you. They used to call it an aura. This is all real stuff, man, that we used to know instinctively, intuitively. We were taught.
That's right.
If it wasn't the science of it, we were taught the grandma and grandpa of it. Boy, get that scowl off your face.
Right.
We might not have known why. Stop walking around here looking like you had some sour lemon in your mouth. What's wrong with you? Yeah, right?
That's right. Now, see.
Or just seeing grandma made your mood. Hey, Bella.
See, now, this is the thing. And this is why going back to the metaphysical, going back to God, going back to there's something.
Yes, sir.
Let me change. Because this is the second or third time, and it's happened often, many times. The only reason I'm stopping is because I need folks to understand there is definitely something out there beyond us. Now, a couple weeks ago, it happened the first Saturday in February. Because this is the other thing, just to give you a backdrop very quickly. In the beginning of the show, at the 6 o'clock hour, I always kick the show off in a positive vein, reading from 2 books. One of them is Iyanla Vanzant's book, Until Today. They're daily devotionals. And the other one I recently added, based on a recommendation, was a book by Reverend Run called Words of Wisdom, Daily Affirmations of Faith. So this whole notion that you were just talking about with the smile, I just read that this morning in the 6 o'clock hour. It said, stay encouraged. And I read this morning and listening on his notes. Stay encouraged. A peanut strip once showed Charlie Brown with his head low and depressed. He said to Linus, quote, if you want to be depressed, it's important to look depressed, unquote. He went on to explain that if you lift your head up and smile, it would ruin everything and depression would fade away. Here's a trick. If you don't feel good, smile. Now, here you come right behind that in the 7 o'clock hour. I don't know. I don't think you were listening in the 6 o'clock hour.
No.
Didn't know that I had read that and yet bring up the same point. That's when I know there's something beyond us.
When an idea is ready, it will sprout. Okay? Just like I'm having images of something coming up out of the ground, like fast sped photography or thing.
Right.
Goes up out of the ground, boom, boom, there's a bud, and it's ready. The eggs, the shell will crack.
Correct.
Okay, and the new life will emerge. So I believe there's an opportunity for us to continue. You said 2 books. Now, I know who I'm talking to, or else I wouldn't even be going down this track. We'd still be talking about I've been a fool for you. Okay? Guaranteed, man. But that's really not that important to me right now as the concepts that we're discussing, and even some that we're challenging. So, for example, I'm saying we have an opportunity every day to re-examine the things that we've been saying and doing.
Correct.
Okay? In an effort toward, let's say, peace, for example. No justice, no peace. Well,
correct.
Maybe it's the other way around. Think scientists, no peace, no justice.
Right.
Because, you see, clearly what you've learned over decades, easily 50 years, more if you go back into Jim Crow and so on and so forth, is just, if you got to ask for something, clearly you don't possess it.
Right. Right.
Meaning it's not yours.
Right.
So you have to ask somebody for justice. You don't have to ask nobody for peace.
Right.
Whoa, wait a minute now.
Right.
You just changed the whole narrative. You sound like you had peace to me this morning, bro.
Oh, yes.
I hope I sound like I got a smile in my voice over here. So there was a thing that the old people used to say, you can't steal my joy.
Exactly.
Well, why do we keep acting like somebody, if they don't give us this and give us that, we can't have no joy? No, that's not true. I don't have to ask you for what I already possess.
I could not agree with you more.
I don't have to march for something that I already possess. I don't have to beg and wait for legislation.
Thank you.
And who's the next president for something I already possess. In fact, since it's already mine, if I make it, wait a minute, if it starts looking good to a certain point, you're going to want what I have.
Correct. And
see what I'm saying? You're going to show up at, what are you smiling about?
That's absolutely right. And I'm going to tell you, like what you just said, again, I was having this discussion last week as well in terms of, I get it in terms of, like you said, the protest, and I get it. And I love the civil rights. I love all that. But at the same time, there was a song James Brown made that said, I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door. I'll get it myself.
First of all.
And that's kind of like my view.
As much as I love James, what if I determine you don't even have what I want?
Well, there you go. See, that's another spin on it as well.
It's like right. Somebody to think outside of the box.
Right.
What if you determine ain't no box?
Right. See, that's another way to look at it as well. It really is.
See, the effort to think outside of a box. There's too many moving parts there. What do I have to do? Do I have to meditate for an hour a day and cross leg in the lotus position? My knees can't do that. What am I supposed to do? If you complicate it, people won't do it.
Correct.
This is what I'm saying. I don't want nobody giving me nothing. Open up the door. I'll get it myself. Wait, time out, James. What if you discover you already have it?
There you go.
Once again, you've streamlined the process and you've gone to basic laws of math and laws of the shortest distance between 2 points. Okay? It's a straight line, dog. I don't have to jump through hoops and so on and so forth. The intellect that you're talking about, first of all, I deal with an omniscient God. He already knows everything. And if I tap into that,
so I'll tell you what.
Realize that math is not as scary as I thought.
That is correct.
So I can be an engineer too, and that's male or female, little boy or little girl.
Correct.
Okay? You remember Hidden Figures. It's not just little boys that can be mathematicians and engineers. Stop it.
See, Miles, I'm getting ready to blow your mind again. I'm getting ready to show to my students today at 11 o'clock, Hidden Figures.
Dog, you got Ray Charles used to say, you got the right one. Don't stop, man. See?
That's the movie my students are going to see at 11 o'clock.
I ain't doing it again next time. Whoa, I sat around for 20 minutes like, what am I doing up? I made the mistake of staying up too late last night. That's not bad. No, you can tell I'm having a ball.
And same here, because, again, this is beyond me and Miles' listening audience. That's why we're having, I mean, this is truly in the spirit now.
Into something.
Right. This is truly in the spirit. Something. He's bringing up things that I did not talk to him about.
At all. And I didn't get a script.
Nope.
You didn't email me a topic of discussion.
Nope.
Questions to be asked. No.
But at 11 o'clock, that's the movie my students are going to be seeing is Hidden Figures. And this is the other thing you just said a couple of minutes ago. I'm telling you, this thing is right on point. This was something else I read this morning. You just said it about us having math and everything in it. It says the Bible clearly states in Psalms 82:6 that ye are gods. So in essence, you are God. Not the God. Right there you go. It says not the God, but a cup of God. God is like the ocean, and you are a cup of God. Make sure that you keep pouring yourself back into the ocean.
I got chill bumps. I just got chill bumps.
Here's the trick. Never look for God. Just be. God is within. So read that this morning.
So if you're my enemy, what's the most powerful thing you can cause me to believe? Okay, yeah, go ahead. If you're my enemy, okay, and you have to control a group of people that you already know their history. Okay, you know who they are.
Right.
So what's the best, most effective thing for you to do?
Tell them, keep
of that belief system.
And keep telling them that they're nothing. Keep dividing them against each other. Keep telling them that they're nothing. Keep telling them to keep.
That's why I don't even use the word slave anymore. I say victims of human trafficking.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
I mean, what? I mean, you didn't call McCain a slave. You said he was a POW.
Correct.
He was captured and he was refused. In fact, when they offered him the release, he said, "No, I'm going to stay with my people."
Correct.
Those are powerful narratives. But with us, it's simplified to we were just slaves. We were just ignorant slaves. We couldn't speak, we couldn't read. We were time out.
Right.
We had calendars. We understood astronomy and astrology. Wait a minute. We could navigate. We could circumnavigate. We were here before you. Stop playing.
I mean, and that's why this month, in terms of the guests that I lined up, these messages have been lining right up in terms of trying to help folks understand. Because there are a lot of folks, myself included, as we talk with my various guests this month, I have learned a lot just listening to Dr. Asante, listening to you this morning, listening to Gary last week. I didn't realize, because in Gary's picture on his biography, he's holding a drum. Interestingly enough, the same drum that I use in my school in the morning to kick the day off when we're in the building. And we were talking about that, and he was saying, no, there was a time when you could get killed if they thought you were making a drum, because that was our form of communication.
That was the telephone.
Now, I knew we could get killed if we tried to learn how to read. I didn't realize we could get killed for making a drum.
Well, guess what the Native Americans used to communicate other than smoke? They used drums.
Correct.
To celebrate, to worship. The drum was the first, to me, is one of the first computers. But I want to say this, to go back to something else you said. We're not just on here boasting. This is not boasting, okay?
Correct.
This is psychologically, okay, let's take you in your setting as an educator, and you've got two students. One who is the child of a crackhead, okay? One who has found out that they're related to Katherine Johnson. First of all, the assumptions change.
Correct.
The expectation changes.
Correct.
So it's your job then. Once again, you got to suppress me and oppress me. Okay. So what do you want me thinking? That I'm a child of the crackhead or of Katherine Johnson? Of the crack? Yes, so slavery, you keep telling me, I'm thinking slave songs and field songs, or I can think of different frequencies, like a middle C is 262 cycles per second.
Correct.
You follow what I'm saying? A on the violin, the second string on the violin is 440. Whoa, wait a minute now. If those notes and tones and then overtones and octaves thereof, so an octave up on that A is 880. Wait a minute. This is simple math. I can get. Wait, what are you talking about? What I'm hearing is frequency? Yeah, it's all math.
Right.
But I hate math. No, you don't. You can't love music and hate math.
Correct. Correct. From the simple point of rhythm, 3/4, 4/4, 2/4, 1/8, eighth note,
7,
quarter
8,
note.
12, 8,
that's
whatever.
right. 16th notes. That's correct.
You love that backbeat. What are you talking about? I know you love that backbeat. From everybody from Jay-Z to Beyonce to Lil Wayne to Rick Ross, they can't make their music without. That's the music they started sampling back in the day when it was Run DMC doing Walk This Way. You got to have the backbeat. I don't care if it's country, western, whatever. If it's western music, Okay, and it's not Mahavishnu Orchestra.
Right.
Guaranteed there's going to be a hit on the 2 and the 4.
And see, there you go. And see, now
And
that, like you just said, that's the math.
Get it, and they
right.
clapping on the 1. Because it's not in them. It's not in them. You see what I'm saying? You get a little infant, a toddler knows how to rock on the 2 and the 4. They don't have to go to Juilliard or Manhattan School of Music. It's in them. They ain't rapping.
Oh my God, I'm laughing so much I had to turn the mic button off.
I'm just saying. And I ain't mad. Listen, it's not even racial, man. Bluegrass.
Right. That's right.
2 and the 4. Karen and Becky clap on the 1. That's why they calling 911, because they mad because they ain't in, they can't get that 2 and the 4 swag. They don't get it. I'm sorry.
Oh
Karen.
my God, that's my second. Oh my God, that's my second really good laugh I had today. Oh my goodness.
I would be frustrated too. But you're not going to reduce everything we do when we've had Alvin Ailey and the Dance School of Harlem. You're not going to reduce everything we do to twerking. No. Okay? Because if you do, then I'm going to have to take you back to the motherland and show you what twerking really comes from. Stop playing with me.
I know that's right.
Now, you don't have the equipment. Don't be mad at me. You don't have twerking equipment. You don't. Okay,
that's correct.
You get that package. Don't be mad at me and don't try to reduce everything we do, because you still got to find the 2 and the 4.
That's correct.
You still got a problem. I'd like to see you twerking on the 1. You hurt yourself. You need chiropractic care. You need orthopedic care. You hurt yourself. What happened to her? Well, she's trying to twerk on the 1.
Oh my goodness. Yes, indeed. And see, again, as you could tell, listening audience, I really am having a blast. But what Miles is saying is true. In terms of that connection between math and music, you ask the average kid, yes, like all them artists that he just named, they love them. Now you start talking the beat and the rhythm, and you connect that to math, they don't even realize it.
And why would we do it?
Right.
Why would we do it? So that we could then explain, when I said 440, 262, 880, whatever, what do you mean by that? Okay, it sounds a little bit esoteric. No, it's really simple. And it's pretty when you look at it on the board.
Right.
Because it's just a sine wave. What's that? Well, it goes up and it goes down. It goes up and it goes down. And it goes up and it goes down. And it modulates. Really? How many? And so the 4/4, that's how many times it does that in a second. Isn't that a lot? Wow, get out of here. Now, you understand that concept. So guess what? That's introduction to physics. That's introduction to quantum physics. That's introduction to E equals MC squared. They're all first cousins.
Correct.
Pythagorean, all of a sudden now, okay, I get it.
Right.
Tesla, you drive, your mom, your dad drives a Tesla? Yeah, okay, good. Here's where he comes from.
Correct. Correct.
Our mathematics.
That's right.
Our drum beat.
Yes. Yes.
Our frequencies. The dyes, the colors that you like. You like red, you like this because Versace and this one and Gucci, blah, blah, blah. But every one of those colors is a frequency.
Absolutely.
Ask somebody.
Absolutely.
And it comes from your math, your forefathers, your ancestors, your forefathers. I'm not talking about them knuckleheads.
Correct.
Lincoln and Washington.
Correct.
All that. They're not my forefathers.
Correct.
They somebody. They ain't.
Now you going back down the Dr. Sante's road.
You're gonna be a president and a slave owner, and you my forefather.
Correct.
Slave owner. Get out of here.
Now you talking Afrocentricity. I'm telling you. Now you talking Dr. Sante. That's what we talked about 2 weeks ago. Absolutely. But see,
I don't sound like this in March.
That's where, like, for me,
hey,
like,
Mark, I don't sound like this in March, April, and May. Only in February.
Back to that niche again. But seriously, this is where, like, and more folks need. This is the thing. A couple of things you just said about this depress and suppress. And I've been talking about this since I saw it because it like blew me away. As a matter of fact, Gwen texted me because she heard me say it a couple of weeks ago, and I said, Utah, their legislators had the audacity to approve parents to have the opportunity to opt out of the Black History curriculum. And Gwen texted me and said, yeah, there were some areas in Florida doing the same thing. But I said, think about that for a minute. They actually went into law saying you can opt out of Black History. So that's just telling you straight off, we don't want to know about you.
And we don't want you to know.
Right.
Even more powerful.
And that's even worse. You're right. And I'll tell you why. Because my pastor does a sermon about Legion. As a matter of fact, he just did a derivative of it last Sunday about Legion. If you look at that whole thing in the Bible, when Legion was crazy and cutting himself, people were fine. They didn't get scared of him until he was clothed in his right mind. So my pastor does the symbolism between right. My pastor does the symbolism between our Caucasian brothers and sisters they ain't scared of us as long as we acting crazy and cutting the fool and BSing and jiving and carrying on.
Makes sense to me.
But when you get two intelligent black men, two African-American men on a Saturday morning talking like we talking, they become afraid.
You know what, Mark? Here's the scary thing. We haven't said one hateful thing.
Not one.
Maybe playful, some humor.
Right.
But we haven't said one. We haven't called anybody out of their name. We haven't said one mean and hateful, not one. Okay? So it's simply a matter of our own self-awareness and empowerment. That's
correct.
all. And reevaluating some of our messaging. Everybody likes to talk about, well, have you given your son the talk? Have you given your son the talk? Well, yeah, we need to, I believe, reevaluate every talk. For instance, as soon as you tell me, well, son, if the policeman pulls you over, be careful, put your hands on the wheel, 10 and 2, and don't make any sudden moves, and remember to be polite, change up your voice, get that bass out of your voice. Wait, time out. So you're already telling me that this person is my what? Superior. You've already launched me back into an inferiority mindset.
Correct.
How many times have you heard that discussion and you heard the first thing I tell my son is to quiet your spirit and say a little short prayer?
Right.
Give him one to say. Because in doing so, you tap into, come on now.
Correct.
You tap into, but okay, you get into a jam, what's the first thing you want to do? Oh, call my lawyer. I got a better one.
Say a prayer. I know that's right. And that's deep.
I got a better one. Oh, my God.
Right.
Wait. Tap into my ancestors.
Yep.
And then, wait a minute. Because the agitation, people don't understand, part of the agitation and the resistance comes from fear.
Correct.
Once you realize you got nothing to fear, there's nothing you can do to me, dog, including shoot me down out here.
Oh,
you can't steal my joy. You can't separate me from my spirit and my ancestry and my God, because somebody told me that that's me. You just said something about a cup and this and the. You gave me a verse.
Now, Miles.
If you tell me I'm a child of a thing.
Yep.
That is correct. Right? It's using different language like calculus. It's a derivative.
Correct.
But clearly, I am that thing.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. And listening
so
to
why am I worried about this guy in this little blue outfit or green outfit who his power is all on a belt? He's trying to get my gun.
Right.
Why are you so worried about him getting your gun?
Right.
Because that's your power.
Correct.
That's your that is your superiority, that belt.
And see, the thing, this is, and listening audience, again, as you're listening to us, we did not script this. This is nothing but the spirit that has guided this. Because again, I'm getting ready to read for you something else I read this morning out of Reverend Run's book, based on what you just said about fear. It says, the Bible says in Philippians 4, be anxious for nothing. When you are full of anxiety and fear, the very thing you are seeking runs from you. When you are in a relaxed state of mind, your confidence results in victory. You are at a disadvantage in any business deal or situation when you are anxious. Relax. Always remember to do your best and forget the rest. That was another piece that I read. And you just said that when you get into that police pullover situation, if you're agitated and fearful, you draw to you exactly what you don't want to have. See, I like that advice about, just say a little prayer. Just calm yourself, say a prayer. Go ahead.
This gets even deeper because your DNA strand under stress actually coils and tightens.
Correct.
Your DNA strand, okay? And we know what that looks like. It looks like the circular staircase or a circular ladder.
That's correct.
When you relax, when you are grateful, when you are kind, when you are happy, when you are at, there's this word again, peace, that DNA strand relaxes.
Correct.
And elongates.
Correct.
And slows. And you are then protected and empowered. Okay? The opposite, what you talked about, the angst, the anxiety, the frustration,
right,
the anger,
right,
the meanness, you're teaching. So we've got a whole generation that was taught to be mean.
Correct.
Which picture of 50 Cent would you rather see? With him laughing and joking and goofing around, or with the scowl on his face, like he's mad at the world and he's trying to figure out who he's going to punch in the face next?
Right. Right.
But wait a minute. Which one made him money?
Correct.
See what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. That's correct.
Which one made him rich? What makes somebody rich? That's the transfer of funds. I'm going to just use simple and simplest from one group to another. So there was a group that was willing to enrich him.
Correct.
And Jay and Wayne for certain behavioral patterns, okay, that support their narrative.
Correct.
You know how much music there is from people that have gone to Juilliard and Manhattan School of Music and North Texas and just talented. You know, but we don't get to hear it. Why? Because they don't have tattoos all over their face.
Correct.
And cool nicknames.
Correct.
And felony charges.
Correct.
Oh, what? That is living in insanity. And I mentioned one person that got chains on them. They don't have chains now.
Right.
So you can't blame slavery.
Correct. So, and again, at this point, Dr. Akbar put me on his payroll because I have quoted this quote so much since I read it in his book.
Hit me with it.
About breaking the psychological chains of slavery. But you said it's something about us being aware of ourselves. And that's why there's a particular quote that just leaps out at me that everybody needs to understand. And Naeem Akbar says, we must learn to comfortably celebrate ourselves. Self-celebration does not necessitate the degradation of others.
Thank you.
And that I have been quoting that since I read it in the book.
Thank you.
And as a people, we need to that's why this morning I said, no, the fact that we said we were two intelligent African American, we weren't bragging or boasting. Look, there is no problem with us saying that because it is.
Here's a funny thing that reminds me of a thought that if I had a T-shirt that would say, "I'm not your enemy."
Right.
If that would comfort some people that are afraid of people that look like me and you, especially the male, gender of you and I.
Correct.
Right. I'm not your enemy. And then in smaller text underneath it would be, I'm my own.
Correct. Because see, that's the problem.
Are you catching what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
I'm my own enemy.
That's exactly. That's
Why?
exactly right.
Because I haven't embraced my own identity.
Correct.
I haven't even explored it. I don't use Ancestry.com. Stop it. What am I going to do with that little pie chart? I looked at the pie chart and said, oh, now I know. Oh, thank you. There you go. I bet Kamala Harris can go back generations.
Correct.
Okay? Generations in her Southeast Asian family. And to Jamaican roots as well.
That's right.
As well. I can't go back further than Brooklyn, my mother and father. I didn't know any of my grandparents. So I go back to Arnold and Lillian. Okay, thank you, Nick. Are you kidding me?
but see, that's what I'm saying. In terms of that quote just now, that's what incensed me in terms of, because in order for you to now legislate that you can opt out of a curriculum about another people means if you feel that if I learn about them, it takes something away from me. And that's what I love about that quote in terms of everybody needs to understand everybody can celebrate who they are, and it doesn't take anything away from you. But unfortunately, there are too many people think that if they acknowledge what another group does, that it's taking something from them.
But here's my thing. I would say, okay, that I would like to at least explore that option. As soon as just show me where to separate my history from the general history, from American history or world history. You show me where that is. I got the cake and I got the knife. Tell me where to cut so I can cut that part out from the rest of the story.
Right.
You still have a whole cake.
Right. Right.
Because it suggests that, we might be a cherry or icing or some type of something on a whole cake.
Right.
No, you extract our story. You don't have a whole cake.
That's correct. Now, that's straight up there.
Anymore.
That's correct.
You're talking pie charts. Okay. If you take your little knife and cut our part of the story out,
right.
First of all, you don't even have an economy.
Correct.
Stop it. And stop telling our little kids all we did was pick cotton.
Correct.
You wouldn't have tobacco. You wouldn't have sugar. You wouldn't have... Come on, man. You wouldn't have an economy. I'm going to make America great again. Stop it.
For those of you who have just joined me, and I hope you've been with me, I hope you've been with me since 6, but I certainly hope you've been with me since 7. My guest this morning is Miles Jaye, and Miles is a Renaissance man. Miles is an author. Miles is a musician. He's an educator, communicator. Miles is also a guest blogger on my blog, The Critical Thinker. He sends me submissions, and in many instances, I will take it verbatim and just send it back out under my blog name. But what he's talking here, again, is kind of like a summation of everything we've been saying all month long. And by now, if you've listened to the last 3 episodes, at least, even the first one, the first one, my guest was a young lady from California. And she was up at like 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning to make the 7 o'clock time. But in the beginning, I didn't realize her book was more spiritual, even though she's a Caucasian woman, but it actually worked out that the book was more African-American than I had realized when I booked it. And so the whole month long, we have been in this spirit of trying to help everybody understand. And what you just said, you take that part of the story out, you don't have a whole cake.
Thank you. Wait a minute. Ask them if they want to take LeBron and KD and AD out of the NBA. You know, let's take all the color out of the NBA and NFL.
Correct.
Let's change it. Again, no, we're going to create a league for them because we don't want them because they kneeling down and they don't want to stand for the anthem and they're just troublemakers.
Right.
Get rid of them.
Right.
Yeah.
They get rid of them.
Let's look at your ratings and your stuff. Yeah, you tolerate them.
That is correct.
You tolerate them. Isn't that interesting? I laughed. I said, "Oh, isn't that interesting? The vaccine is free, but my kids can't afford college."
That's exactly right.
Whoa! I'm waiting to hear the price tag on the vaccine. It's free. How much medication can you get for free in America? Seriously? We're both veterans, so we know we can go to the
That's
VA
correct.
And get some hydrochlorothiazide or something for blood pressure.
Right.
Whatever. But, I'm thinking this double vaccine going to cost a bundle. Oh, the vaccine is free. So wait a minute. I always saw college and education as a vaccine against ignorance. But
correct.
I got to pay for that and be in debt for the rest of my life. Oh, okay. I'll figure it out one day.
There you go. That like wonderful analogy in terms of a vaccination against ignorance. Absolutely.
But Dick Gregory always told me, he said, "Miles, it's all a game, man. I know you're trying to figure it out, but start with this. It's a game." And he's right. It is maneuvering and manipulation and mind. The game is at the mind level. It's not at the street level. Don't worry. You're talking about the race war.
Right.
There's going to be are you kidding me? Oh, it hasn't started? It didn't start hundreds of years ago? What are you talking? There you go again. You got us. We're sitting around waiting for whether or not we should get a concealed weapon permit.
It's funny. It's funny you brought up Dick Gregory's name. We were in the process of having him appear on the show when he passed away.
Oh, man, that would have been something.
Him,
oh, my gosh.
And it happened to me twice. It happened with him and it happened with Marion Barry.
Oh,
I actually had a chance to speak to both of them. We were in the process of getting them scheduled, and they passed away in between.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Miss him, man.
Yes.
Talk about a mind.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
30 minutes with Dick Gregory will all. I mean, I've been in. I was blessed to have been in his company a number of times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in work situation, and of course that always allows for conversation.
Correct.
And conversation in that context, if you're smart, conversation means listening to him talk.
Correct.
Listening to him speak. Okay, and educate you. All right.
No,
and I'm just glad some of it, has stayed with me and I say stayed as a companion. Good information should be a companion.
But see, Miles, you're gonna think I'm making this up, and I'm really not. But here's another one. Everything you're saying is lining up with how I opened that show this morning. In order to have authority, you must be under authority. As long as you know everything, you will never find a mentor. People who are successful always have mentors. Here's the trick, and this is what you just said. When in the company of a master, you know nothing. Shut up and learn.
Be quiet.
True riches come from operating with a peaceful, thankful heart.
See, wait a minute. I was saying just be quiet, and in my mind, I was waiting for you to pause, and I was going to say, and be grateful. And you said a thankful heart.
I'm not making this stuff up. All the points you're bringing, that's right. Every point you're making.
So if I tell people to be careful with certain hip hop or with certain messaging, with certain movies and with certain images, they think I'm hating because I come from the music industry, so I'm just hating because I've had my day, and it's somebody. No, I'm not. I'm trying to share. That's like Dick Gregory's mad because Kevin Hart and Cat Williams and Dave Chappelle are being celebrated as the top comedians of the day, and he was a comedian, so he understands his role. George Duke understood his role when he was producing. He was sensei. He was a sensei, the master. He's the CEO. Right. Okay. I'm wax on, wax off. What do you want me to do next?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But I kid you not, I'm not making this stuff up. Every point you're bringing up, I opened the show with this morning at 6 o'clock.
Wow. I don't even know if we're running over. I haven't looked at the time.
Yeah, we are. Well, I tell you, I usually run till about 8:15 or so, but the conversation is on point. It's 8:03.
Wait a minute. This morning, I'm going to be honest with you. At 10 till, I was like, I don't know if we'll really make it an hour. I might be able to go to 7:30, and I might have to say, yo, dog, if you don't mind, I couldn't even keep track of time, man.
I can't even tell you how many guests, when I'm doing a little pre-interview, say, what in the world are we going to talk about for an hour?
And it goes by
by so fast. Yeah. But I have many of my guests will say, I don't have nothing to talk about for an hour. I said, don't worry, we will. But it does go by very, especially when it's a deep conversation.
And it's this was rich though, man.
Really?
This was rich, and I'm grateful to you for even not just the platform, and sharing your audience, but the glue that is now between you and I is a connect now that can't be undone.
That's correct.
You know what I mean? That's the real super glue. Okay, so this has been memorable. And I appreciate you, man. And we're gonna be back and forth.
No, we are. As a matter of fact, we might have to do. We might have to. And I know a couple years ago or a year or so ago when we first talked on the phone, we talked about the possibility of doing something. And I'm glad at least we're getting closer to it to come to fruition. Sure. And also in terms of like you being the guest blogger in my in my blog, The Critical Thinker, so forth and so on. And I've followed your work. Everything you send up, I read it. I know you're in a Dallas. The online paper or something, because I saw the article you was reading about
Cheryl
the Cuban.
Smith.
Yes.
So, yes, she was spun off of the Dallas Weekly, which was one of their black-owned papers, okay? So she's doing her piece online now, all right? And probably about 3 or 4 total. But this is taking on a life of its own.
Well, I tell you, this is where normally in the interview, I do give folks an opportunity to promote. And so I know you contribute. I know at some point you were contributing to a paper in Florida. Are you still doing that?
Florida Star.
Florida Star, right. So I know you're doing Dallas, you're doing Florida.
And that's the Georgia Star as well. So, the owners are here, but they publish out of Jacksonville and also Georgia, where I don't know. Listen, let me tell you something, man. I write the thing, and I just share it.
I hear you. And that's exactly the way it should be.
If somebody wants to run it, they run it. Because here's the thing that people don't understand. Typically, first of all, the history and legacy of black press. They don't get how deep that is, the black newspapers and what they meant throughout it. Once again, it's Black History Week. How often do you hear about the Chicago Defender, about the Philadelphia Tribune, about this one and that one? We don't hear those stories because guess what? It goes back to the drum, man.
Correct.
How we communicated. It goes back to the drum. And it's not always easy to publish and to print, or certainly to say something that you got counterparts in your environment don't like it, especially if they got on a white hood and a white sheet and you trying to publish information. Wait a cotton picking minute. You know, you'll come back and your whole place will be burned down. Or you know,
that's correct.
So there was a time. This is like there was a time where being a Christian ran risks. Correct. Okay, even now in certain parts of the world. Right. But being a publisher, being a writer, being a thing. That's why I enjoy being able to, I'm not so attached to any one carrier that I have to censor myself. Correct. Listen, Mark, maybe once or twice I had to warn you. This was a little edgy. When I wrote N, you know what I mean? Remember yes. N? That was a little edgy, but it was cool. But no, for you and Cheryl and Penda, you know, Penda's up your way, isn't he?
Who was that?
Penda. Okay. I'm gonna send you after we talk. You know, I'm gonna send you wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. Yes. But this is what I want to say before I be remiss in my duties if I don't mention the author transition, and just so people understand, it's just a transition or an expansion. I've always published. Okay, you hear my artists talking about owning their masters. I got my 2-inch tapes in my possession. Okay, so I've always published music. I got like 200 songs or whatever on BMI. And so, but now I'm publishing stories, the storylines, the story of the little black kid that learned how to play the violin in Brooklyn. Correct. In public school. Correct. But then when you got to college level, then you realize what you're up against. And going to Brooklyn College, and this is okay. Certain schools, Notre Dame is known to be based on the Catholic Church. Correct. There's certain schools that are HBCUs. Correct. So I'm not trying to start trouble when I say Brooklyn College was basic, even though it was a part of the New York, NY City College system. Okay, the Jewish Defense League was on campus, okay, and the mindset of a little black kid playing the violin met resistance. Correct. I would be willing to talk to anybody about it. I ain't, don't worry, you know, if you want to, you go Farrakhan on me, you know, because he said the word Jewish. Stop it. Okay. Right. I grew up in Brooklyn, man. Right. I used to turn on the ovens during their high holidays because they couldn't do certain things during the daylight. And they would say, little boy, you want to earn a quarter or 50 cents? Can you come in and turn on the stove for us? So I got a real close connection with the Latino community, where in New York, Puerto Ricans and blacks were like, you know, first cousins. Correct. You go too far south into Miami, and folks look, Cuban, Dominican, whoever, look at you like you got two heads. Correct. Wait a minute. So listen, Joan Rivers used to say, can we talk? Correct. This cannot be our last time. Penda Havel is with New Jersey Urban. Okay. Yep. That's the name of his piece. Yes, okay. New Jersey Urban. So this is the way I want to do this in terms of, like I said, I'll usually give the folks, and a few, but I mean, what I want you to do is what you're doing, just, and you can send it to me and I'll put it out again, but let folks know all the different publications you contribute to. This is the opportunity to promote in terms of if you're doing any appearances, concerts. This is what I want you to do. This is where I'm interrupting because I know I'm trying to truncate so we can fit it all in. Uh-huh. In a minute, starting March 1, I'm starting to upload my new books. Okay. That's my new path. Okay. And I have a piece. Listen, I got to get this one to you in the physical form, in the soft color. It's called Vertigo. You know what Vertigo is? That's right. Vertigo. Essays and Opinions of an Unstable Black Man. All right now. Okay. That's the title. It's 318 pages. All right now. Okay. And it's a collection of those essays. It's like 100 essays about all kinds of different things. Vertigo, Essays and Opinions of an Unstable Black Man. I got a fiction piece called Margaret, okay, that I republished as a self-publisher, okay? I got a piece for children called Selim's Big Surprise. That's the one about the little boy getting his violin, okay, that his mom saved up for because she couldn't really afford it. And it's just a whole new thing for me. I'm getting just as much gratification out of this as I did out of I've Been a Fool for You and You Come From Heaven.
I know. Well, I tell you what, I can't wait to read them. And what caught my eye was actually Miles is in the process of releasing. It was a book on love. It was a holiday book around Valentine's Day.
Love.
Right. That exactly. And I saw that.
My Chicken Soul for the Soup series. So you think
right.
you know love, so you think you know music, so you think you know art, so you
I know
think
that's
you know
right.
law. And I want young people to be able to look at it as a reference piece and say, okay, these are my rights. If I get stopped, stop telling me about keep my hand on the wheel. Tell me my rights. Tell me, yeah, I'm a citizen of this. I was born
That's
here.
correct.
What am I allowed to say or do? And what's his job? What is he allowed to say or do?
Right.
He can't pull you over and say, so where you headed?
Right.
I've been on the New Jersey Turnpike telling troopers, none of your damn business where I'm headed. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Do I know you? We don't look alike. Are we related?
So Miles had posted the latest, the one that's about to be released on Instagram. And I immediately said, I got to have you on the show. And I said, I want to do it in February, but February's booked. And as God would have it, my guest this morning is in Texas. And he got caught up in these Texas storms and everything. And he let me know that he could not make it, his schedule and everything else that was going on down there. So I called Miles up. I hit Miles up and said, Miles, I got an opening Saturday. Would you like to take it? And he was like, by all means. And he's here. And we've been kicking it since 7 o'clock, having a blast. This is not your last time being on here. I can tell you that right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me into your extended world and your extended family and your extended audience base. We're kindred spirits.
Yes.
I want to leave with that.
Yes.
It's very clear to me we are kindred spirits, okay? And there's more to come.
No question. No question.
God bless you, man.
Bless you as well.
Providing such a service, man, to the community and to our legacy and to our imagery, and you are an ambassador. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I record these, and as I said, it'll be up on my YouTube channel for anybody who wants to listen to it that didn't wake up early with us.
Okay.
It will be there probably by the end of the day, certainly by no later than the end of tomorrow, and I'll send you the MP3 link.
Thank you, sir.
All right?
Take care, man.
You do the same. Tell the family I said hello.
Hour.
I will. All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care.